On today's show, National Battle of the Bands is here, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. Also, like I promised you, Albany State is up next. So we're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we're going to go ahead and get them a grade. All this and more coming up next on Luke's Band Report. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, or whenever you're watching me right now. My name is Jay Luke, the owner and operator of the Passion Is Network. I'm also the host of Talk That Talk. You can find any of our merchandise at www.realtalkthattalk.com. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. First of all, I just want to say that if I look really sleepy right now, I am. And it's because I recorded a whole show and none of it recorded. That is the thing that sucks. But anyway, I digress. Let's go ahead and get it all through it yet again. The National Battle of the Bands is here. They have announced it. And you know what reality is? I didn't realize it's been 10 years. I mean, the truth of the matter is we were busy looking at the Queen City Battle of the Bands, and then all of a sudden it showed up in Houston. And we remember the first one in Houston, and I just did not realize it has been 10 years since the National Battle of the Bands has been in the city of Houston. So, hey, you know, great job. It's been rolling for 10 years, and I think the lineup that they have is kind of 10-year-ish. I think it's worth the 10 years. So the first thing I want to say is, Skiggy, congratulations. Because I feel like I kind of been messing with y'all about the last week or so, with this whole Honda thing. And I kept saying that, well, ain't nobody trying to see Skiggy and Honda in California. Now, I want to be very clear. I do not, in any circumstance, think that Skiggy is a bad band. I really don't. I honestly don't. That was just talking about the idea of Honda being in a place where HBCU marching bands are not prevalent for real. I think Skiggy's a good small program. Okay. So with that being said, the lineup is Jackson, Southern, PV, TSU, Bethune, Skiggy, Tennessee State, and Miles. Honestly, I think that is a good matchup. Here's the reason why I think it's a good matchup, because you're going to have an early boombox, right? Let's be real. And for us Texas folk or Houston folk, however you want to look at it, we're going to have an early Labor Day Classic. We got TSU versus Prairie View, and we got Jackson versus Southern. And then we got everybody else. Yeah. And that's no slight on everybody else, but I mean, come on, like Jackson and Southern in the same room together early. For the Texas folk, the Houston folk, you got TSU and PV getting the battle on early. And then you got Bethune with the new old uniforms. You kind of do a big reveal for old looking uniforms, but either way, I'm just saying you got Bethune with the new old uniforms, and then you got Skiggy there, which is really out of all of them the smaller program, and I think they're going to do a good job. And then you got Tennessee State going to come out and beat Tennessee State, and you got Miles. And I think the really interesting thing is the last time we saw Miles and PV in the Dome, you know what happened. So I actually think this is going to be a really good lineup, and you can go ahead and get your tickets now because they already hitting the pre-sale daddy. Now, here's the problem that I have with pre-sale tickets. And this is not directed to the National Battle of the Bands. This is actually directed towards Honda. Honda, how are you selling pre-sale tickets to something that we don't even know who's going to be there? Because they like, get your tickets now. How? Why would I buy a ticket? I don't even know who's going to be there. Like, explain that to me. That's like saying, hey, man, we got pre-sale tickets to this concert. And be like, who's going to be at the concert? Be like, I don't know. Just come and buy the tickets. That sounds like bad business to me, bro. So, I don't know. And I don't want to make this a Honda bashing session right now. I'm just saying, when I saw that they was doing the pre-sale ticket things, I was like, yo, why are you doing a pre-sale ticket for stuff that we don't even have any information on for real? That's just weird. But anyway, National Battle Bands coming up. Be there, be in the building. I think it's going to be pretty good. My only question is, what are they going to do different for 10 years? Are they going to add something to this whole process? Are they going to do something new? Are they going to give bands a little bit more on the back end? Because you already know how I am, man. I'm always going to be for the bands, making sure that they get what they need on the back end, because the students put in a lot of work. The educators put in a lot of work. And I'm always going to say, hey, what are they getting on the back end? That's all I'm going to say. But again, 10 years, let's see what they got. Let's see what stops they pull out. Let's see whatever guest artists show up, all this kind of stuff. So we'll see, man. We'll make sure that we keep our eye on what's happening with this National Battle of the Bands. All right. Moving forward, though, I said it, I promised you, and guess what? I'm going to deliver. Albany State Marching Rams Show Band, you are up next to be judged. Here we go. So, well, I ain't gonna say be judged. I ain't gonna say that. To give you your grade, your 2023-2024 grade. So let's start all the way at the top. Let's go all the way to drills. First and foremost, I will say this. I think, in my personal opinion, I like the way you all drill. I do. Most of your stuff is not necessarily downfield drill, more linear than anything. You keep a nice tight compression within your drill. You don't necessarily come out to like a 4-3 step spacing or anything like that, making the spreading across the field. You keep the nice and compact, keeping the sound within each other, nice and tight. But I also like the fact that you all keep the sound moving forward. You allow the melody to speak and move forward. And when the melody is not speaking, then in the formations that you guys are doing, some are either turning backfield, some are either moving in rotation, some are moving to the next formation. And I really like that about you guys. I really think that you all are doing a good job from the drill perspective. Big sound. And listen, I'm gonna say this. Let me go ahead and put it out there. When I was coming up in the band world, when I was marching in the Legion and so on and so forth, and at the time, one of our biggest rivals was A&T. I will say this: A&T at that time was known as the small band with the big sound. Obviously, they don't have that moniker anymore, but I really think that Albany needs to take that leap into having that moniker, because clearly they have a big sound for a small group. On the field, very big sound. I like it in the sense of I like the fact that you all's size does not dictate the weight of your sound, and I think that's pretty cool. I think, and I guess I'll get into it a little bit later when we get into the stands portion. So yeah, but here we go again with the flags. I really would like more use of flags in the drills. I really just, and this is not a slight to anybody. I just really don't understand the thought process of having something that is meant for color to not utilize it to the best possible way that you can utilize them. Having them in the drill instead of on the outskirts of the drill. I think that's the thing that just kind of throws me off every single time. And I kind of saw that with Albany State. I think the young ladies, from a performance perspective, I think they do well. I saw some timing issues in a couple of their performances. So yeah, that was something that kind of stood out to me from a timing perspective in some of their routines. But I think you all did well. And then the dancers, the Golden Passionettes. I think I said it right. Golden Peanuts, Passionettes. I think you all have a really good field presence. I think you all are really well. And I want to say this. Kudos to the young lady. There was a show that I was watching. There was a young lady whose uniform malfunctioned in the middle of the show. And she did not skip a beat. Every part of her routine was still there. Didn't break smile. Didn't break character. Everything was spot on. And I'm going to be honest, I would have never realized it had I not noticed one thing. there were some hand movements that the young ladies were doing that required two hands. Well, I realized, I was like, yo, why is she using one hand? Well, she was using one hand because she was keeping her uniform up. And I was just like, yo, she didn't like come off the field. She didn't do any of that. She didn't even break. Like I said, she didn't break character. I was just like, yo, that's dope. So kudos to you, young lady. I think, and just the squad in general, I think you all have a very good field presence. I think you all do some good field work. So yes. Now, as far as going back to the sound on the field though, and this is going to actually translate into the stands. You know what? As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to go straight to the stands. So field, I think you guys do a really good job on field. But what I'm about to say in the stands is going to translate to the field. Oh, before I get to that, drum majors. Same thing I said last time. You know, I'm really trying to understand, or I really don't get the idea of the drum majors and not having them or incorporating them in the show. There was this one show that you all did where you had because I think you have like 3 drum majors, and you had your 3 drum majors in this like triangular shape in the front of the field. And I was thinking that you all were going to make a formation around that triangular shape. Well, Lord and behold, you all didn't do that, but it looked like you were about to do that. I just think that, you know, when those melody parts are going and you have these outskirts of the drills moving or going into different formations and shapes, you can have the drum majors leading those shapes, or within those, you know, those different pods, you know, conducting, or just something to utilize them. Now, there was a show I think you all did where they weren't even on the field. I'm for that. Like, if you're not going to use them in the drill, don't even put them on the field. Like, let them march off like Southern does and just take a knee daddy or something. Or like Jackson, they come off the field and then they go and round back and then come up the field and do a routine within the drill. Now, again, I'm not saying that you need to be Southern or Jackson. What I'm saying is, in my personal opinion, I mean, apparently and obviously you're going to do whatever you do that fits your program. But in my personal opinion, if you're going to have a group as flashy as drum majors, because we all know that the HBCU drum major is flashy. That's what they do, right? Do something that is going to incorporate that flash within the drill. That's all I'm saying. But that's just, again, my personal preference and my personal opinion. Translate to the stands. Here we go. Small band with a big sound. Absolutely. I don't disagree with that. I'm going to stand on that. I stand on it. You know, they have a really big sound. The arrangements that they're getting right now, or they have right now, truly fits their program. And shout out to Dr. Will Brooks. I think he was the assistant at Kentucky State. And I think he was the arranger at Kentucky State too, if I'm not mistaken, which we saw what Kentucky State was doing. But to take that program, because I think he just got into that program this past year, to take that program and to do what he's doing with that program in 1 year and getting the buy-in from those students, I think is a really commendable thing. So kudos to you. The arrangements, I think, are really fitting for that program. So that's a good job. But let's talk about a couple of other things. Well, before we get to that, I will also say when it comes to that, I think you've built a culture, or there may be a culture that was already established there, but there is no idea of a horn holder. I don't think that one section has a horn holder. At least I can't tell. Because the mellophones are playing, the euphoniums are playing, the trombones are playing, the woodwinds are playing. There was a couple of pieces where the woodwinds had like some open sections and you can hear the woodwinds. And so I think that you've built a culture where ain't no horn holders. Good job. But talk about a couple of things. Smaller program, bigger sounds also equals stickouts. You know, when you have when you have the mindset of creating this big sound, you also may get a student that may be pushing to really overplay, like really play loud and play louder than the person next to them, so on and so forth, and not into the context of what the whole band is doing. And when that happens, well, you kind of get stickouts. So just being mindful of those stickouts. And what I also notice is when you all get tired, it's very evident. And I think it may just be because you may be small, a smaller program. I mean, that could be the possibility, but I was watching you all, I think the battle between you all and Savannah State, and I could tell the longer you all played, the difference in the character of your sound changed. And so I don't know. I guess my opinion or my suggestion in that it would be to say, be versatile with your book, so to where everything isn't just big sound. Now, obviously, you probably want to build endurance with your students, which I can see that. I can understand that, right? But understand that may take precedent. Another thing that I noticed is, again, big sound. When you guys are playing to your fortes, your fortissimo, so on and so forth, the sound is big. There's a decent blend. I'm not going to say it's all in tune, but it's a decent blend. But when you guys play your mezzo pianos and pianos, that's where the intonation really starts to get a little scratchy. And what I'm always going to advocate for is continuing to move good, clean air through the instrument, even when you're playing at your mezzo pianos and your pianos. The flow of air doesn't stop, and even though the flow of air, good, clean air does not stop just because you're not playing as loud. And we tend to have young players, or just players in general, who tend to back off on air as we're playing softer, which causes intonation problems. So I'm thinking that could be the problem, or that could have been the issue that I was listening to. But just be mindful that in the thought process that I would like to hear the cohesiveness and sound that you have when you all are playing big. I would like to hear that same cohesiveness when you all are playing small. So that was another thing that I also heard. Other stand issue, in my personal opinion, were the flags. So I know that I've talked about swing flags in the stands. Here's the thing with that. If I'm not mistaken, they do have swing flags. They do have swing flags. But as I was watching them, the one thing that I kept questioning and asking myself is this. If they didn't have the flags in their hands, would their moves that they're doing still be effective? Essentially, yes. Which that is a problem. Because the point of the swing flag is to actually use the flag and do some flag-like twirls within your 8 counts. But from what I could see, you all were doing regular dance 8 counts with just the object in your hand. If you took those objects out, it would still look like dance 8 counts. Whereas if you were actually doing some flag work and flag movements with that, if you took them out of your hands and you did those same movements, people would be like, well, what are they doing? So I think that's the thing that stood out to me. And I think it gets convoluted when I'm somebody who's watching from the outside and I see the dancers in the front dancing and I see the flags dancing. Well, which one's the dance group? You see what I'm saying? And so that's just distinguishing the two parts of the organization. If you're going to be the flag organization, then you probably should be more apt to do the thing in which you are in the organization for. And that's not to say that you can't do any dance moves, but I'm just saying the primary focus or the goal would be to do the thing in which you're there for, which is twirl a flag. All you do is spin records. That's all you do, right? So that, in my opinion, is just kind of where that threw me off. Like, it was like, all right, you dancing with objects in your hands, and not to say it like that. Like, you're dancing with a flag in your hand, but it's still just normal dancing at the end of the day. So yeah, I think honestly, when I'm really now processing and I'm really thinking outside of the big sound that you all have, I think the stand presence needs a little bit more work. I think your field presence is there. I think the stand presence is the thing that needs a little bit more work. As I'm really going through this process, because I didn't think about it beforehand, but I'm really thinking about it now. As far as the golden passionettes in the stands, I really think that you ladies are doing a good job. I can really say that it's one of those kind of situations where I feel like your stands, again, your field is more exciting than your stands, but that's just me. As I'm going through this, I'm realizing that there are only a few, and I mean, we ain't been through the whole list yet, but I think there's only a few dance teams that really catch my eye from a dancer's perspective in the stands. And I think it kind of messed everybody up because I started with Alabama State and the Stingettes are really good in the stands. So I think that kind of messed everybody up because now I'm thinking that you gotta meet that standard. So that's no slight to you ladies. I don't think that you all are terrible. I don't think you all are bad. I just think that for me, when I was watching you guys, I was focusing on you all and I was really, really trying to get into it. And I was just like, oh, okay, it looks nice. It's cool. And then I went back into looking at all the other things that were happening in the stands. So there. Here we go. Total package from the field to the stands. I think that you all are doing a good job. I think that Brother Brooks, I think if I'm not mistaken, he's a member of KK Psi, so Frat Brother Brooks. If he's not, I think he's a member of Phi Mu Alpha, so Frat Brother Brooks. I think you and the staff are doing a really good job to build a band program over there, and a sustainable one. What I would say too is I would also say that, hopefully this past year builds some recruitment for you all, because I think that you all are on your way to being a program that people need to look out for. When I started watching you all, especially from a sound perspective, I was like, yo, does anybody pay attention to y'all? Because if they don't, they probably should start within this next year. Specifically, if you get numbers, clean up a couple of those things, those small little areas, and obviously probably the stand presence a little bit. But I really think that you all are on the way to being a program that people need to look out for. And obviously, again, smaller program, but I really hope that they're going to give you the financial backing to grow the program for recruitment, so on and so forth, because you keep going in the trajectory of the way that you're going. I think the future is bright for Albany State's marching band. So with that being said, I really think that they're in the C range, borderline C+. Little things to work on. Like I said, for me, stands presence for me needs a little bit more work. The big sound is there. And I would also say the energy is there too, but it's just those little things, those intonation things, making sure that the mezzo pianos and the pianos are just as dynamic as the fortes and the fortissimos. And then that situation with the swing flags and so on and so forth. So with that being said, hey, that's where I stand with that. I'm interested to see what you guys think. What do you all think about the National Battle of Bands as well? Do you think that's going to be a good lineup? Do you think that we're in for a treat for this 10 year? Or do you not really even care? So that's a thought. Do you not even really care? Is it kind of like me? Because we've talked about it on multiple occasions that the battle scene is kind of super saturated. It was very interesting. At the same time, when Honda got announced, I want to say a week or so later, 2 weeks later, National Battle of Bands is announced. So are you excited about it? Or do you even really care? Do you want to see this lineup? Who do you think should have been in the lineup? Also, what are your thoughts on Albany State? Do you even watch Albany State? If you do, what are your thoughts? Do you think I was fair in the grade? I really look forward to seeing and reading your comments. And, hey, go ahead and put this on playback, share it out, hit the like button. I thank you guys for watching. I thank you guys for listening. And guess who's up next? Alcorn State. So we'll see you all on next week.